And that was why I asked if you thought this situation in Benue State is being taken for granted. And I also asked if you thought the governor is indeed helpless. But let me rephrase that question. What you've said now invariably is that the governor and the federal government know what to do, but both parties are intentionally not doing it. Is that it?
Now, let me say that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that section is very common. 14(2)b talks about security and welfare of the citizens of the state. Right now, and that section says is the primary responsibility of government, not secondary. Primary responsibility. Now, we're not even talking about welfare of the citizens of the state or of the country. We're just talking about security alone. How well is the government? When we're talking about government,
Dr. Okwori, can you hold on? Can you hold on, please? I apologize. Can you hold on? I think I want you to answer this question directly. Do you think the governor and the federal government know what to do, but intentionally not doing it?
They know what to do.
Okay.
Just the way I said in one of my remarks, I said these challenges are surmountable, right? We need the cordiality of the federal government and the state government to surmount the issues. Now, what are we doing differently from what we have been doing before? The answer is that we're not doing anything differently. It is the same thing. When the attacks happen, we deploy soldiers, deploy police, and all that. At the end of the day, 1 or 2 weeks, they are withdrawn. These communities are now left prone to more attacks, right? Now, what I think that the government can do differently is that we have established that there's a gap in our rural communities, that there are no security presence in our rural communities. Now, the police and the military needs local intelligence to function. Do we have any security structure or agency on ground that can provide local intelligence? The answer is no. And that is why I am using this opportunity to tell Mr. President that the right thing to do, as we are talking in this program, is that the bill before him establishing the Nigerian Forest Security Service, that their duties or mandate is to provide security for our forested region, provide security for our local communities. Don't forget that these forests are situated in our rural communities. And this is where these criminals go and use as hideout. They have found our forests as safe haven, right? And that's why I commend Mr. President for approving the establishment of Forest Guard. But we already have a structure, the Nigerian Forest Security Service on ground. Rather than conceiving or coming up with something new, why not adopt what is already on ground? The Nigerian Forest Security Service has well over 50,000 personnel, from the federal, state, local government to our very rural communities that are well trained, trained by the DSS, trained by the police, trained by the military, right, that can synergize with our conventional security service and see how to provide security in our very rural communities. I think that the best thing for us to do now is to see that we close that gap, that missing link that we don't have, that has to do with presence of security in our rural communities. In doing that, don't forget that they are going to be confronting hardened criminals that are almost more sophisticated than our security agents. It means that they must be institutionalized and integrated into the security architecture of this country for us to be able to see how to address these issues locally. People will now begin to ask or want to argue or come with the narrative that we have enough security agencies on the ground. Why do we not need to create new ones? No, we shouldn't think that way, right? Let me take you outside the shores of this country. In 2001, during the 9/11 attack, when George W. Bush Jr. was the president of the U.S., when Osama bin Laden struck, we had FBI, secret agents, CIAs and the likes. But President Bush now thought it wise that there is need to have something on ground differently that will be able to address or confront these issues that has to do with terrorism. And that was what gave birth to the Department of Homeland Security, right? So I think that when it has to do with security, we have identified the issues. How do we now address it? I think that the best way to go, as we are talking, because I am an advocate of local policing, we don't have presence of security in our rural communities. And there is need for us to have something like that on ground. And that is why I want to appeal to Mr. President that the time for him to assent to the bill establishing the Nigerian Forest Security Service is now. You know, we shouldn't play politics when it has to do with human lives. We shouldn't. These are all distractions, religion, ethnicity, and all that. We should try to see how to put all this aside and face what we are looking at head on. That is why when we don't act when we are expected to act, people, Nigerians begin to ask or say that there's no political will. I think that we have the political will. The president has the political will to see how to address these issues.